Greetings, Gilliam the Rogue here, once again. Time to update Joining the Dark Side. I've made some few changes to the Stamina Nightblade PvP build that I've thrown together, and I've kind of taken off the training wheels. Lower this so we can actually hear. So, again, if you didn't pay attention to the Dragonite Let's Talk, I'm wearing this because I have a secret that I must hide for some time. We'll talk about that later, but ignore it. Anyways, the Stamina Nightblade build that I've thrown together for PvP that is a little bit different. It's very bruiser built. I'm in your face. I'm trying to tango. We can take some damage more than a normal roly-poly can. However, we're not really a gank build. You can. Again, we've talked about this before in the previous videos. You can watch those if you want a little bit more in depth. I'm going to try and speed through things. We're going to be talking about changes, and then I'll reiterate some of the abilities and CP and stuff like that. But Stamina Nightblade, Joining the Dark Side. I didn't come up with a name with it because I just called it that because heavy armor is so broken, and I finally decided to throw some on for PvP, and even after the nerf to Wrath, it's still really, really strong, especially for my playstyle, which is being able to sit in your face. I would love to run medium, but there are two major flaws with medium. A, your only form of defense is mobility and dodge roll. Most of the damage in this game can no longer be dodge rolled. Birds, ultimates, cliff shulks, AoEs, like every class has something that completely ignores dodge roll, and a lot of the times it's a lot of damage when it happens. So medium armor isn't that great unless you plan on rolling around like a monkey infinitely and then only doing bursts within 2 to 3 second increments and then resetting the fight. And that's not my playstyle. I don't want to run around like a headless chicken until I wait until someone drops their guard. I want to make people drop their guard, get in their face, make them go on the defensive. So this build is very visceral, very aggressive, very brutal. And it's a lot of fun, and I've made some big changes based on discussions with other players, kind of looking at other builds, seeing what was working to some semblance of success for them, and then trying it out for myself, and looking through different iterations, seeing what I can and can't get away with. So let's talk about abilities first. That's the biggest stuff. So on our first ability, we'll be having one of 3 skills. Steel Tornado for fighting more than 5 players at the same time, and they're relatively coordinated. So if you're fighting really coordinated groups where you kind of just need to bomb, so you're not alone, obviously, you're going to have like a healer and probably some other DPS. Steel Tornado is really, really good for it's undodgeable damage because it's an AoE. It has 2 built-in executes, one passively and one in itself, and it's a 9 meters AoE. So the biggest drawback of this, though, is that it costs a shit ton of stamina. So this is not meant to be spammed over and over again. You're going to run dry after about 7 or 8 casts if you're also managing buffs. So you're going to have to heavy attack a lot in between if you're going to be using this. Otherwise, if you're fighting a lot of undodgeable damage and you're tired of dying to it, Deadly Cloak also works really, really well. It's a very great defensive skill that has a little bit of offensive power because it does deal damage in an AoE every 3 seconds over a 15-second duration. Also reduces damage taken by 25% from all AoE effects. Really, really nice. Last is my personal preference for most fighting, and that is Rending Slashes. Huge snare, 50%. Huge burst damage. A heavy attack Rending Slashes will often take people to 70 to 40% of their health, depending on a few buffs, if we are properly proccing them, as well as how tanky they are. So Rending Slashes, heavy attack, disgusting combo. Also applies a bleed over 9 seconds that does damage every 1.5 or 2 seconds. Ignores physical resistance. Very, very strong. You should always try and keep this up. I love this skill. It's great for pressure. It's great for burst. It's great for keeping enemies in place. I love it. Next, Relentless Focus, another big burst ability, gives us endurance and berserk. Keep this up at all times. After 5 lighter heavy attacks, you'll get a proc. In PvP, you don't necessarily want to proc it as soon as you get it. A lot of times, you're going to want to try and combo this with other hard CC so it guaranteed lands. I've seen this crit for over 15k, even though that's my tooltip and that'll be cut in half in Cyrodiil. So against a lot of players who either are being enabled by your buffs or your group buffs or whatever it is, or people who aren't running proper PvP setups, like maybe they're lower CP, maybe they don't have impen, maybe they're like a Sork or something, if you catch someone on the defensive and they make a slip, they drop block, or you hit them right at the end of a dodge roll, something like that, you can do a lot of burst with this skill. So it's vital to land, understand, but don't just shoot it namby-pamby. You're going to want to try and shoot it when you know that it's going to land, or when someone's at about half health. You can do a lot of damage. Like, I pretty much two-shot people with this. Heavy attack, relentless focus, boom, 100 to 0 from that. So really, really good. Surprise attack for our main burst also can be used to set enemies off balance, which is very, very important for something that we've changed. I'll get to that in a bit. Amazing. So you can utilize this with Cloak and then hit a target. Do not heavy attack surprise attack, because then you will not set them off balance, and off balance is extremely vital for two big reasons. One, a gear set that we're wearing, and two, off-balance targets take 70% additional damage from a heavy attack. So if you set someone off balance and then heavy attack rending slashes them, if they're not a tank, they are dead. It is amazing. I love it. I've seen 7k heavy attacks into a 5 to 7k surprise attack. Just literally disgusting. Or heavy attack rending slashes where it's proccing your main hand enchant, and then rending slashes procs your offhand from the heavy attack rending slashes. If you animation cancel the heavy attack with the rending slashes, you can do them both instantly, allowing you to do 6 sources of damage. Rending slashes hits twice at first, and then a bleed tick, so that's 3 right there. And then dual wield heavy attacks, that's 2 different heavy attacks as well as enchants. So you can have up to 6, 7, even 8 damage procs happen all at once and annihilate someone. So fantastic skill. Utilize that properly, especially with that off balance. Otherwise, also makes us tankier for 17, or makes the target less tanky for 17.3 seconds. And since we're running heavy armor, it will also give us our major Warden Resolve for about 13 seconds or so. Phenomenal. Great. Execute Killer's Blade. I take this over Executioner or Reverse Slice because my personal preference. Killer's Blade also does more damage because it doesn't have to wait for the target to get lower and lower health as it goes. As soon as they hit 25% health, boom, it starts dealing its full listed damage. I see this crit for 10 to 15k all the time, even on heavy armor builds. Does a lot of damage. So it also will give us resources if you manage to get a KB with it, so that does help too. Vigor, self-heal, also helps with group healing as well. Really, really straightforward. Try and utilize this after a CC break if you're not using forward momentum as well. I usually CC break and then forward momentum or resolving vigor to get some healing, and then dodge roll. So I shrug off a lot of the damage that I'll be taking. Next, Soul Harvest. Use this for ultimate generation. You can also use it for kind of like heavy attack into Soul Harvest if you need that major to file on them. It costs very little. Ultimate, it's not going to hit nearly as hard as Incap because it's not going to scale with our CP. It's not going to use our penetration. So if you're looking for the big single target burst damage, you can take Incap. But I like Soul Harvest for the ultimate generation. A lot of people are like, Gil, why do you use Soul Harvest? It does such your Soul Harvests don't hit as hard as I've seen other people's. And it's like, yeah, that's fine. But there are two big things. First is I get way more ultimate generations, which means either more Soul Harvests or more Dawnbreakers, which means killing more groups. So in a 1v1, yeah, I'm not as strong as another person with Incap. But what I try and build for is group play, so BGs, Open World Cyrodiil, and Small Man, stuff like that. So I love Soul Harvest. The other thing is that there is a bug with Soul Harvest where it cannot be dodged, because when this game was first made, Magicka-based abilities, if they were melee, were undodgeable. Since Soul Harvest deals magic damage, this still uses that. So you can dodge Incap, you cannot dodge Soul Harvest. So the other thing that I love using it for is dodge roll spammers. I hit them right at the end. I know when they're going to dodge roll. Hit them with Soul Harvest, guaranteed burst, they die. It's fantastic, but it should be fixed, definitely. Alright, next on our two-hander bar, we have Cloak to escape. You can also use Shadow Image if it ever works for you, if you don't want to get into Cloak. Otherwise, I personally use Cloak always because of being able to set a target off balance with it readily. I can enter it, and it'll also make my next ability critically strike, so I can place dots, enter Cloak, have them crit. I can use heal over times, have those crit. So 100% crit chance while in Cloak, really, really strong. Also allows me to set targets off balance, which is vital to the build. Next is Mass Hysteria, a fear that ignores block and dodge roll because it's an AoE. It hits 2 players, fears them for 4.5 seconds, very long CC, especially if the target doesn't have enough stamina to CC break. They're going to die if you hit them with this. Also applies Maim and a big movement speed reduction after it ends, helping a lot for loading off damage. So Mass Hysteria, fantastic skill. Next is forward momentum. As we are running heavy armor, that means no shuffle for the snare and immobilization immunity, and even if I was running medium armor, I'd still probably use forward momentum because it costs way less than shuffle. We also have a better source of major evasion, and it has healing, and the snare immobilization immunity lasts longer than shuffle, even if you were to wear 7 pieces of it, of medium armor. So, forward momentum is just far superior in my honest opinion. However, if you do run medium armor instead, you can drop Mirage in place of shuffle and then gain rally for the big juicy burst heals. It helps a lot for survivability, but I really, really like forward momentum. So, yeah, really, really great. Next is Mirage. We need major evasion because we need to be dodging skills frequently because, again, a gear set that I'll be explaining momentarily. So I've moved to Mirage because I need it, as well as it helps a lot with tankiness. You have the 15% chance to dodge any single target ability that's trying to hit you. It will not proc on things like birds or shulks or any AoE abilities, so it's not as strong as it might seem, but it does help a lot with passive dodge chance. And then you also gain major or minor ward and resolve, giving 2% damage mint for the duration, 26 seconds, that's a long time, and it costs magicka instead of stamina, so my sustain is far superior than if I were to run shuffle. So Mirage, really, really nice. Also gives us some assassination passives for slotting on this bar, so we get 10% crit hit damage, all that great stuff from our assassination skill line. Next is Leeching Strikes. Really, really like sustain because it's important. Got to be able to dodge, block, CC break, all that sort of stuff. So Leeching Strikes, I try and keep up as much as I can because it also heals me whenever I light or heavy attack, and then gives me some stamina back when I do that, and then a burst of stamina upon recast or ending. So Leeching Strikes is great. Since it costs so little, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll cast it, and after about 5 or 6 seconds, I'll recast it. You'll get more stamina back than you did from casting it, so you can kind of just use it to buffer your stamina up in between movement and stuff like that. You can also use it in stealth, so if you're like draining your stamina to sneak around, you can use Leeching Strikes to sustain. Next is our ultimate. You have one of 2 options. Dawnbreaker of Smiting is my definite preference. Big burst damage, big damage over time, stuns for 2 seconds, has a 5-second damage over time effect, also does crazy high damage to undead and werewolves. So vampires, werewolves, there's a lot of those in Cyrodiil. Undodgeable because it's an AoE, and it's at 10 meters. However, Dawnbreaker of Smiting is still very, very buggy. It misses a lot of times, even when I'm standing point blank range. I think that's a lot because of lag. When I'm in Cyrodiil, you have like 100 to 300 ping. It's pretty awful, so I miss a lot of Dawnbreakers because the skill is just not, it doesn't play well with lag. So try and use this on already CC'd targets, or just groups so big that you know you're going to hit people. Always try and line up a heavy attack with this to get extra juicy damage with your follow-up passive for that 10% bonus damage on the first target hit. So yeah, otherwise you can use Soul Tether as well. This has a little bit of more survivability. It's going to have some passive healing while slotted. You're going to get like 2 or 3% bonus healing. You're going to get some more magicka. If you're not running Leeching Strikes, you can run something else like Reaper's Mark if you want big boy damage, or the heal on it as well. You can also use that in place of that if you prefer. So if that's the case and you're going to want to use Soul Tether to get that extra magicka, then you also heal. And then it's an AoE stun, but it's 6 meters in a radius instead of 10 meters outwards in a cone from Dawnbreaker. Dawnbreaker does more damage than Soul Tether. Soul Tether cannot be dodged, but it can be blocked. Same with Dawnbreaker of Smiting. So I just prefer DBOS because it's easier to use and it has a farther effective range. Now, let's get into the stuff that we care about, and that's the changes of gear. So, the original setup has us running 5 Bone Pirate and 5 Shacklebreaker with a 2-piece monster set, usually Bloodspawn, Troll King, or Selene, depending on what you want to try and do. So, that is the beginner set. I highly suggest doing it. It's really easy to get a hold of Bone Pirate jewelry as well as 2 body pieces. Or you can also use weapons. If you're doing the beginner set, usually what you're going to do is 3 jewelry and then 1 sword, or 1 axe and 1 mace. We'll talk about traits after we're talking about gear. And then 5 Shacklebreaker heavy armor body, and then like 2 medium monster set. You can also craft like 3 heavy Shacklebreaker, 2 medium, and then use heavy. Whatever. As long as you're wearing 5 heavy, 2 medium, you're good. I don't really suggest 5-1-1 because you don't get a lot out of it compared to medium. Medium has better sustain. It's just I prefer. You can run 511 if you want extra max stats, though, and a little bit more magical recovery and stuff like that, but I really like 5.2. So then, if you're looking for more aggressive, but still wanting to have sustain, go swap over from Shackle to Truth. Truth is amazing. Whenever you set an enemy off balance, you increase your weapon damage by 450 for 10 seconds. That means you can have it active on your front bar, swap off, still have the duration of it running, and swap back. So, how do we set an enemy off balance? We talked about it a little bit with being invis and entering surprise attack. That's one way to do it. And the other way to do it is to be actively dodge rolling with the CP system passive tactician. Whenever you roll dodge to dodge an attack, you set the enemy off balance. This also procs from major minor evasion. So we're procking Truth like nuts. It's very, very strong. You can have a very high uptime. Whenever you need it, it's going to be up. The only time that Truth is not up is if someone is not attacking you. So if you're chasing players, it's probably not going to be active. That's the one downside of Truth, is if you're fighting a defensive player, it's not going to proc. So this is best when you're outnumbered, when you have people constantly attempting to hit you. So utilize dodge rolls properly, as well as always making sure you have Mirage or Shuffle running to proc that. Now, Truth comes in heavy armor. That usually means healthy jewelry. That's not the case with this. We have one of the easiest grinds I've ever done. We have 2 named weapons, which is 1 axe, 1 mace, which is BIS for this build, in my opinion. Maces are really strong in Cyrodiil, and axes for the bleeds are really, really strong in Cyrodiil. And then we have 2 named jewelry pieces. So usually what you're going to do, all right, I'll explain that in a bit. So with this setup, I'm running 3 armor pieces of Truth because I want to run 5 heavy to medium. So since I'm running Bone Pirate only comes in medium. So I run 3 heavy Truth, 1 heavy Selene, or 2 heavy Selenes, and then 2 medium Bone Pirate. Then I have 3 Bone Pirate jewelry. That way Bone Pirate is permanently active, always getting the juicy stamina and stamina recovery, using Dubious Throne to proc that, obviously. And then I have Truth active on my front bar, and then on my back bar, you'd ideally have another Truth weapon to get that extra weapon damage. If you really like the Asylum 2-hander, you can also use that, or the Master's 2-hander. Pretty much experiment, see what you like. Stuff like that. So yeah, 5-piece Truth, 5-piece Bone Pirate, 2-piece monster set. I prefer Selene's for huge burst damage, really, really strong. Troll King and Bloodspawn are also very good. Bloodspawn gives you more mitigation and ultimate generation. Troll King makes you have insane health recovery, especially as a Khajiit or an Orc. You are going to be really hard to kill. So that is the gear set up for that. So this is what I usually run with Truth and Bone Pirate. This is what I run in open world, what I run in small man without healers, as well as battlegrounds. And then we have one more iteration, which I change over to 5-piece, obviously still Truth, still using Mirage to proc that, but then I also run 7th Legion. Probably one of the most busted sets in the game. You just gain so much damage out of this. So we're running 5. If you do this, you're going to have to run 2 medium, Selene's Bone Pirate, or Selene's Troll King, or whatever. So you're going to have medium Monster Helm. And then we're going to have 5 heavy armor, 1 girdle of Truth. It doesn't matter what piece it is. Any of these can be Truth. And then the other 4 7th Legion. Then 1 7th Legion necklace and 2 stamina named Truth rings. So we're getting a lot of stam with this. Our stats are really high. We have crazy health recovery, especially without Troll King. We have crazy high health, but we do have rather low stamina. So do keep in mind that if you decide to go this, you have 0 sustain. You are very tanky, you have a lot of healing, you have a lot of damage, you have insane damage, but you are also very susceptible to run out of gas. So if you're not with a healer, I don't suggest running this. So I only run this if I have a dedicated healer in the group, which for me isn't that often as lately. But hey, if you do, or you're really looking to push yourself to your boundaries, you can get away with it. I've seen relatively good success with it in BGs, but as soon as people see, oh hey, it's Gilliam, fucking kill him for whatever reason, just 8v1 him, kill him, then I really don't like this because I don't have enough stamina to dodge and sprint and escape from those situations. So I swap over to Bone Pirate instead. But yeah, 7th Legion, busted as hell, has no ICD, can have a potential of 100% uptime if you're constantly taking damage. The heal is nuts. yada, yada, yada. A lot of people think that the heal is not affected by Battle Spirit. It is. Other people are saying that there's a blue stamina ring of 7th Legion that gives more weapon damage than it lists. I tested. It does not. People suck at double checking. So, don't believe those rumors. But yeah, 5 truth, 5 truth, 5 7th Legion. Again, you can just run 5 truth between dual wield and then jewelry and then 5 7th Legion. There's no difference. It's just like I already had a truth girdle and then a 7th Legion neck, so I just saved my time in the grind. So again, name drops. Foreman Rings drops in Darkshade 2. The very first boss, Farmadon Vet for the good old purple jewelry. Just kill him over and over, and then as soon as you kill him, reset. Then we have an axe. I believe this drops in Darkshade 1 from the final boss. And then we have the Fist of the Hive Lord. This drops in Darkshade 2 from the Hive Lord boss. I believe he's like the 3rd or 4th boss in Darkshade Caverns. So that's really, you get 4 out of the 5 pieces with that. And by the time you probably get that, then you will get your 5th either necklace or armor piece. So really, really easy to get your hands on truth. Fantastic. Now, in terms of traits, I run I think it's 3 well-fitted and 4 impen. You can kind of mix and match to what you like. If you find yourself dodging and sprinting, use more well-fitted. If you find yourself taking a lot of crit damage, more impen. I run all weapon damage on the jewelry with the Warrior Mundus. You can run Serpent. You can run Stamina Recovery. You can do whatever you're comfortable with. If you're doing a lot of open world, I do suggest running the Serpent because you need at least 2k regen if you're going to be fighting larger groups, because yeah, good luck sustaining without that. Then, for our weapons, I run Infused on my main hand for juicy burst damage, as well as the cooldown reduction of my offhand. I run double damage enchants for that, disease and poison. You can also run Berserk on this if you so choose. Then for our offhand, I run Sharpen. Now, you can also run Nirnhone main hand and Infused offhand. You'll sacrifice a little bit of single target pressure, but gain a little bit of more AoE damage and slightly more healing. However, since Battle Spirit exists, it really cuts the efficiency of that a lot, so I kind of just keep this instead. Then, trade on our back bar, you can run Infused Berserker if you want. You can run Sharpen, you can run Nirn, you can run whatever your heart desires. Now, this is a named Great Axe because I don't have the Truth two-handed axe. That would obviously be ideal. Then I'd get a little bit of extra weapon damage on this back bar, but this is a cool quest item that you can only get from doing a special quest that is rare to find in Stonefalls. I won't spoil it. I like it because it's edgy and RP. This great axe was forged for a powerful and dominating ruler, which is what this build is about. Dominating your opponent with insane, powerful burst damage. So, great axe of obedience for the edgy RP lore. And I have a weakening enchant on it because that's what it came with. You can also use Berserker here, or, if you so choose, you can also run Cancerous Poisons. I either run Damage Health Poisons for super high damage, or I run Magicka and Stamina cost increase. You can also use Cowardice Poisons if you're a true coward and make people's ultimate cost 60% more. I don't know why that exists, but hey, it does. Attributes, split them to whatever values you want, yada, yada, yada. I've gone on far too long. Let's finish off with CP allocation. So, for the green tree, 43 tenacity, 37 mooncalf. Regen, we don't have a lot of regen, so I don't go too heavy into this. We do a lot of heavy attacking because heavy armor gets more stamina and magicka back from heavy attacking, so tenacity makes even more sense. With that, I also get 75 points for Master Gatherer, haha, saving time. Then another 75 points into the tower to get Mara's Gift, even though gonna try and not be dying, but I just like hitting these numbers. 44 into Warlord, 31 into Sprinter. You can also decide to go even more in either of these if you so wish. But I do sprint quite a bit, and I also break free quite a bit, so those are very helpful. And then another 75 in here. You're noticing a theme. I'm trying to get a lot of these passives. I like finding the better quality items in my treasure chest. So 23 Shadow Ward for the times that I do block, and then 52 into Tumbling for the times that I'm spamming dodge roll like a monkey. So that covers green tree. Now in the red tree, we are running 32 Hardy, 32 Elemental Defender, and 56 Thick Skin. This is to gain the Unchained passive. Whenever you CC break, your next stamina ability is pretty much free of cost. In fact, it is. With 2 pieces of medium armor, it will cost 0 stamina. That's why I always use that with Forward Momentum or Resolving Vigor, because those are my 2 highest stamina cost abilities. Very, very strong. Then in the Steed, I have 54 in resistance for juicy crit hit damage reduction and 56 into Ironclad. Next patch, I'll probably have another 10 points in here so that I can get the reinforced passive for extra damage mitigation. Whenever you block, you just get a small shield. It's not all that great, but it does help load off damage. Other things to look out for is spell absorption. Whenever you take a lot of magicka-based damage, you're going to get some magicka back. Helps a lot with sustain of your cloak or fear. Crit leech, this is not all that great because it can only happen every 5 seconds, but resilient. Whenever you take crit damage, you heal for 194 health. This can crit. It only uses spell crit, though. I wish this would use either or. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it does add up quite a bit. Then in the blue tree, this is more preference than anything. So you need to hit Tactician, 120 points in the Atronach. I have 66 Master at Arms for juicy burst damage, 48 into Shattering Blows because I do fight a lot of magicka builds with shields, and then 6 into Physical Weapon Expert for extra heavy and light attack damage. If you find yourself not fighting that many shielded builds, or you don't mind losing damage against them, pump the hell out of that Physical Weapon Expert. Your heavy attacks do so much damage because remember, setting an enemy off balance makes them take 70% more damage from your heavy attack. So this will buff your base heavy attack, and then that 70% will apply on after, and you'll get a massive damage modifier out of it. So Physical Weapon Expert is super important if you are not fighting a lot of shielded builds, which, hey, a lot of times you aren't necessarily. But I personally, that thing triggers me the most is Sorc builds that are out shielding executes from 3 different people. I think that's the dumbest shit ever, so I put a bunch of points into Shattering Blows to prevent that from happening. So yeah, really, really nice. Make sure you hit the 120. You can spend it however you want in here. Then, in the Ritual Tree, unfortunately, we do not have Last Stand. Next patch we will, though, so that means even more ulti-gen if we go low health. But 37 into Mighty for 9% flat damage. You can go a little bit higher next patch to get like maybe 10 or 11%, I don't know. 22 into Piercing. This is a rather inefficient node because 660 mitigation is 1% damage mit. So you need a lot of this to gain effective damage, so I don't have too much into it. Plus, we have Surprise Attack, so that's a free 50 to 80 penetration, pretty much. If you find yourself really wanting more pen, you can pump this up, though. 40 into Precise Strikes, because I am a Khajiit. I am also a Nightblade, so I have a lot of fucking crit. We have about 50% crit with this build, which is a lot. So, Precise Strikes makes a lot of sense, applies to damage and healing. And then 11 into Thaumaturge. This is because I have 3 different bleeds, so Axe Bleed from Dual Wield, Axe Bleed from Two-Handed, and then Rending Slashes, as well as the Poison Status Effect, if it procs, Ravage Health Poisons, and Dawnbreaker of Smiting. So we have a lot of dot damage, so Thaumaturge does help. Again, if you want more flat damage, you can go with Mighty and Piercing. And then you have an option with your Mana Stone. If you don't want to run Warrior or Serpent, you can also run Lover, which means you can probably get away with very, very low Piercing and just go all flat damage instead. So that covers everything for CP, gear changes, yada, yada, yada. We talked about changing up our abilities, stuff like that. And then finally, consumables. Again, talking about poisons, I always use Essence of Immobility because I have Major Brutality. If you do want Major Savagery in your kit for even more crit chance, you can run that on, your potions as well. But Essence of Immovability, Permanent Major Expedition, nice stam regen, and then immunity to CC for 15.7 seconds. Fantastic. So again, I don't use these because I already have Brutality, so it's a waste. So you could put like Health or something on here instead, but yeah, don't necessarily need it. You can also use Tripods. Then, as for consumables, so with Bone Pirate, we're probably going to be running Dubious Cameron Throne. We're going to have about 25k health in Cyrodiil. 35k stam, very, very respectable. If you're a Red Guard or Orc, that'll be even higher. If you're an Orc, that's probably going to be the ideal race for this build. I talked about it in the previous ones. More burst damage, more stats, more movement speed, more healing. Phenomenal class, or race. Khajiit works as well because we have a lot of crit. Notice 42.7. I can buff up and get my Minor Savagery proc, and that becomes 45.7%. And then if I run Truth or 7th Legion, that'll go up to about 50% because it does have a weapon crit bonus. So yeah, Really, really good stuff. I have about 4k weapon damage while buffed with Truth and Major Brutality, and then almost 5k with 7th Legion. Actually, I'm pretty sure it breaks 5k with 7th Legion. So, really, really strong when everything procs. You're getting a lot of healing from 7th too, but again, I really like Bone Pirate because I'm a shitty player and I need sustain more than other people. And because I also get focused a lot, because for whatever reason, everyone hates PvEers who are good in PvP. But yeah, that covers pretty much everything for the build. Again, hope you guys enjoyed. Remember, if you're starting off, go with Shackle. Really, really nice. Get a little bit of extra tankiness from the sustain and then higher resource pools. Then once you're ready to put on the big boy pants, swap over to Truth. I really, really recommend that once you get comfortable with it, if you like the playstyle. Otherwise, again, hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you enjoyed joining the dark side. I hope you didn't think that you were getting out of this video without some awful montage clips, so let's get right into it. In the first one, we have four people, me and 3 of my friends, were inside of a building at Velastris, and there is a huge yellow group outside waiting for us. One of us sacrificed ourselves, and here they already come in, rushing in. They think they're safe. We immediately drop a negate, Dawnbreaker, right into the action, spamming Steel Tornado because we're fighting so many people, and we make quick work of them with this build. I fear to get my bonus. I dodge roll a few attacks to get that Truth proc right at the beginning, drop that Dawnbreaker with the heavy attack, get another Dawnbreaker already because of so many killing blows, and boom, nice and easy work because we lured them into this building. And we tried this multiple times that day. Unfortunately, they only took the bait once, but now we're going to go back out. They were smart enough to take all of the districts so that they could res right away. So here they are again. We're going to kill a few of them on the flag, but we're going to have to ultimately retreat. So they're already pouring out of their spawn again already. Here we're getting a lot of pressure. One of us is still already dead from earlier. Dawnbreaker after that big leap. Spam some Steel Tornadoes. We're taking a lot of pressure. Dodge roll that Relentless Focus. I figured that I was going to be taking a lot of burst. I just happened to dodge roll it because after a CC break, I always dodge roll. That's kind of my rule of thumb because a lot of people try and line up burst there. Here we got some werewolves trying to chase us down. I don't have enough stamina to keep up the offensive, so we're going to try and lure them away from their Zerg. So I have one of the Sorks, our Stam Sork, pull them away. So we come back. Now I have enough stamina. I come in with a heavy attack, do some damage, do some surprise attacks. Heavy attack is really buggy for me right now. Whatever. No worry. Implosion finishes off the work. Do some surprise attack, light attacks. Now I'm running really low on stamina. Again, I noticed a large group behind, so we're going to retreat and then come back. I cut a lot of the in-between movement. I've rezzed everyone now, and we are back on the flag. We're starting to take it back. That yellow Zerg does not want to lose Velastris because they're trying to do stuff on the map and use this as a pullback point. So we keep interrupting their attempts to take back the map. So here I notice a big group. I'm like, okay, everyone get on the rock. We're going to bomb them as they come around the corner. So I get in stealth. Another Magic and Nightblade is on top of me. Here they come. Buff up. I've already been detected. That's fine. Dawnbreaker. We drop all of our ultimates here. Do some Steel Tornadoes, and we easily make quick work of some of them. They drop a negate on us. We're getting a lot of pressure. I can't cast abilities for some reason, so I'm kind of just swinging my weapon around like a complete dumbass. Rebuff my stuff. Off-balance procs. I get my Truth proc. Now I'm going to spam some Steel Tornadoes because of it. Give my group some vigors. Dodge roll after that CC break. Spend it on a vigor to get that free cost, and then spam more Steel Tornado. Drop a DB on that healer spamming breath. Here's another healer spamming breath, so I'm going to heavy attack, surprise attack. Look at all that burst. We get a stun on them. She's trying to breath. She's trying to breath. Not able to out heal that. Here's a werewolf. Heavy attack, surprise attack, taking them to half health immediately. Now we're going to finish off the fight with this Nightblade who tries to get away with the res. Luckily, we've taken this flag so they cannot come back from this. Drop a Soul Harvest on him because he can't dodge roll that, and he dies 2 seconds into the pass. So, boom, we're done. Fast forward into the future, they've taken a keep. I've decided to go push on them. Dawnbreaker, do some Steel Tornadoes, instantly get at least 2 or 3 of them. I'm alone right here. My group is lagging behind. I decided to go in. I'm going to bite off more than I can chew. This is going to be a losing fight, but we're going to show how to come back from that. Here, someone tries to get a res, do some Steel Tornadoes. I notice a huge flood of AD coming in. I try and line of sight. I reapply my buffs. I put on my snare mob immunity, and now I'm going to go upstairs. I'm going to kill the people dropping oils, and I'm going to kill the guards that are up here, or as soon as it flips. Here a Nightblade tries to chase me. I'm really low on stamina. I almost get the kill. For some reason, I can't CC break, even though I have ample stam to do so, so I'm forced to give up that kill. I'm going to put pressure on this Nightblade who tried stunning me, do a heavy attack, boom, dead after that. Now I'm going to just try and heavy attack everything that I can. Here we have a dodge roll spammer. I'm going to use Steel Tornado because you can't dodge that. Finally, my healer has arrived. I'm going to pick up that spring. We're going to get a little bit of pressure. I get stunned from the negate. Now I'm going to do some heavy attacks, put on pressure, fear them right before they can breath, and then light attack that execute. Here's more coming in. Just going to spam some Steel Tornadoes, even though that's probably not the best bet. I thought more were coming up. Get some heavy attacks after the DK fossilizes. Heavy attack, surprise attack, boom, lots of bursts. Now I'm just heavy attacking the guards, lots of heavy attacks, because in heavy armor you get that extra resources. Here's 2 more. I'm going to shoot off that spectral bow, get some burst on 1, heavy attack, surprise attack that guy, dead, boom. Now here they all come upstairs. They notice they're done with our shenanigans. Drop a Dawnbreaker to create some distance. Do a Steel Tornado, realize there's no way I'm killing anyone there, so now I'm just going to retreat. Unfortunately, we wipe here, but I'm not going to give them that satisfaction. I'm going to retreat. This is going to be the end of the clip. Going to jump off this building here, vigor as I land so I don't die, and they're not going to chase because they're too afraid. So hope you enjoyed, and see you guys around.